Iran's Supreme Leader tightens control with a sweeping judicial shakeup at the highest level. Mojtaba Khamenei swings the axe as Iran's judiciary braces for a major leadership overhaul. In a massive shakeup, Mojtaba moves to install trusted loyalists across Iran's top judicial ranks. Iran's top judge to soon face Mojtaba Khamenei's axe in a dramatic power consolidation move. Iran's supreme leader is reportedly preparing a major shakeup of the country's judiciary as post-war power consolidation gathers pace under the new leadership. According to Iran International, Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei plans to replace Judiciary Chief Gholam-Hossein Mohseni Ejei in one of the most significant institutional changes since taking office. Sources quoted by Iran International said Ejei is expected to leave office after serving just one 5-year term. If confirmed, the move would break with the long-standing practice of Iranian judiciary chiefs serving 2 consecutive 5-year terms. The report said Khamenei is seeking to place figures viewed as more closely aligned with his leadership at the helm of Iran's most powerful state institutions. Ejei's expected departure could therefore mark one of the first major shifts in Iran's power structure under the country's new supreme leader. The reported decision comes after months of mounting criticism of Ejei from influential hardline political factions within Iran's establishment. Critics accused the judiciary chief of supporting a US-brokered peace arrangement despite what they described as Khamenei's reservations about the agreement. Iran International also reported that the leak of deliberations from Iran's Supreme National Security Council further intensified political pressure on Ejei. Observers noted that Khamenei's Judiciary Week message stopped short of explicitly endorsing Ejei for a second term, something many had expected. Instead, the Supreme Leader focused on the need for faster judicial reforms, stronger anti-corruption measures, and greater public confidence in the judiciary. A day later, Ejei released a public letter pledging his full loyalty to the Supreme Leader and vowing to faithfully implement all of Khamenei's directives. Human rights organizations say Ejei has for years been one of the most influential figures within Iran's security and judicial establishment. Rights groups argue that his tenure has been characterized by harsh sentences handed down to protesters, journalists, political dissidents, and civil society activists. However, many human rights advocates also contend that replacing the judiciary chief alone is unlikely to produce meaningful reforms unless broader structural changes are undertaken within Iran's judicial system. Hectic negotiations are now underway in the Qatari capital, Doha, as efforts intensify to secure an Iran-US peace agreement. The indirect talks in Doha have primarily focused on the release of frozen Iranian assets and the future of the Strait of Hormuz. A senior Iranian official told Reuters that negotiations involved mediators and representatives from Qatar, Pakistan, and the United States. At least 3 separate working groups have reportedly been established to advance the negotiations in Doha. According to Al Jazeera, all 3 groups are working alongside mediators from both Pakistan and Qatar to move the agreement forward. Along with the release of frozen Iranian funds, Tehran's nuclear program remains a central focus of the ongoing discussions. Lebanon has emerged as one of the biggest sticking points preventing the finalization of the Iran-US framework. Iran has refused to engage directly with the United States, accusing Israel of violating the Memorandum of Understanding through continued strikes in Lebanon. Mojtaba Khamenei's representatives have reportedly remained firm that Israel must completely withdraw from southern Lebanon. Iran's lead negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has publicly outlined Tehran's conditions for returning to direct negotiations.
At the moment, we are coordinating and holding discussions to ensure those conditions in MOU are fulfilled. I will explain further later. Until those commitments are in place, we will not move on to the remaining provisions at all. Sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz rests with Iran and Oman, and with the arrangements that Iran determines there. From the day that we, in fact, lifted the blockade until today, we have exported more than 40 million barrels of oil. Today, we are receiving the same price for our oil as the Brent price quoted on international markets. Iran, the United States, and Lebanon agreed to establish a joint committee that would provide oversight on implementation, bring about an end to the war, and consolidate Lebanon's national sovereignty there.
On June 30th, Both Iran and Qatar confirmed that Tehran would not participate in face-to-face talks with President Trump's envoys in Doha. The Doha discussions serve as a technical follow-up to the recent diplomatic understandings reached between Iran and the United States. However, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner are not participating directly in the technical negotiations.
Basically, we had no plan to meet with the American side at any level in the coming days. So there is nothing to withdraw from. Mr. Gharibabadi had announced this in the beginning, and I also clearly stated it yesterday. What is likely to take place in Doha tomorrow are discussions regarding the implementation of certain clauses of the Memorandum of Understanding, including the clause related to the release of Iran's restricted assets, which will be held with the Qatari side. Therefore, I emphasize again that we have not planned any meeting at any level with the American side for the next few days. It is clear that the United States' failure to adhere to its commitments under the Memorandum of Understanding will inevitably have a negative impact on the continuation of this process. There is no doubt about that. First, we will allow no action to go unanswered. As the powerful armed forces of Iran have demonstrated, any aggressive action against the Islamic Republic's targets will be met with a decisive and immediate response. Second, such actions constitute a violation of Clause 1 of the Memorandum. Naturally, should these violations persist and recur, the continuation of the process will face serious difficulties. Regarding Lebanon, our position is clear. America's commitment to ending the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, is an explicit commitment under Clause 1 of the Memorandum of Understanding. It is important for us that America adheres to its commitments and, wherever necessary, forces the Zionist regime to fulfill its commitment as well, because it is clear that the counterpart to the Islamic Republic of Iran in this Memorandum of Understanding is America. Whatever is agreed upon or not agreed upon outside of this Memorandum of Understanding, our criterion for assessing America's adherence to its commitment is this text of the Memorandum of Understanding. It was clear to us that NATO and some of its member states were actively involved in the design, implementation, and support of the aggressive actions of the United States and the Zionist regime. What the Secretary General of NATO said, helping the U.S. in the war against Iran, has two aspects. First, it is an explicit admission complicity in committing a crime of aggression against Iran. Everyone knows that the actions of the United States and the Zionist regime were illegal and aggressive according to all standards and rules of international law. It was an illegal war. Second, this admission can be cited as evidence in any court. Regarding access to the damaged sites, Iran's nuclear sites,